Hello my YouTube friends, I'm here to share another video with you, and we're going to do the marigold. And I had a couple of people requesting the marigold. I guess they want to learn how to overlap petals on top of each other. Okay, so I'm going to show you here how we're going to get that effect. And let me go over the brushes. We're using a 3/4 flat and a filbert brush, which is a flat brush but has a rounded top, a smaller flat, and a liner brush. Okay, and the acrylic paints I'm using here is by Folk Art. I've got white, yellow, and an orange. And then here for my leaves I've got a dark green and a light green. And here's my floating medium. Okay, I've always had questions about what is that for and where can I find it. All of these supplies you can find at any craft store. The floating medium is almost like adding water to your paint, but instead of water, you want to use this, because if you use water with two colors on your brush at the same time, it's going to get muddy and mixed together, and you don't want that. So the floating medium will allow the paint to glide on your surface, almost like adding water to your paint, but will not mix your colors if you're careful. And I'm going to show you how we can be careful and not do that. So I'm demoing on a sketch pad, and this has a light blue background. And let's get started here. So I'm going to get my filbert brush, and I'm going to load my brush with my floating medium, picking up a little bit of my light green. And I'm going to kind of just do a little circle here so I know where my flower is going to be. And this will help me with placement of my leaves. Okay, so I'm going to first add some shadow leaves, or kind of watercolor transparent looking leaves. And I do this a lot. That helps fill up your painting without it looking too busy. So I'm laying my chisel or the filbert brush, turning the top slightly and releasing pressure and ending on your tippy toe, which is your tip of your brush. Okay, so here, just add a few of those, and I'm going to add let me switch here, add some transparent stems. That means that same watercolor effect, and this is also another thing I like adding that helps fill up your painting a little bit. Okay, so just add a few of those. Okay, and I'm just dragging my chisel. Now I'm going to use my filbert brush again, loading it with my two colors for the leaves. So dark green on the top, light green on the bottom, and really push down and blend it back and forth. Make sure it doesn't mix, okay? You want to keep it separate. And I'm going to drag and do my stem here, so it's a slight little curve. Touch my chisel and slightly pull to that center, and then I add these side ones, and they're almost like comma strokes. You see that? Touch, lean upwards and curve it, aim towards the stem. And I want to keep it very light and airy looking, so I'm going to add another one here. And it's okay to turn your surface. So touch and slightly pull. So there's a little curve or a lean upwards, and then slowly pulling towards you. But as you're pulling, you're releasing the pressure on your brush. Keep it very light. Okay. So here, let's get started with our flower here. So I'm going to go back to my 3/4 flat. I'm going to pick up a little bit of yellow and more orange on my brush. You kind of see, blend back and forth, and this is getting the paint to go inside the brush. Really push down. I'm going to pick up a little bit of white on my yellow side and let that blend back and forth, so it's creating a brighter yellow. Touch my chisel into the floating medium and then blend. And then I'm going to go slightly outside of my little border here that I kind of dabbed. So pick up that white and keep turning that surface. And I'm just kind of hopping the brush back and forth. You see that? Slightly going outside of the border. And these are kind of connecting because all these petals overlap each other. And turn your surface. So there's a slight little pressure as I'm moving this brush up and down a little bit. Okay, so there's my outer petals. I'm go back and add a few more there. Always keep your brush fully loaded with paint because you can see how much I go back and forth to add more petals. Now I picked up a little more white on my yellow side because we want this to really show. And by making that yellow lighter, by adding white, you can see that it's right on top. You see that? So here, I'm not pushing down a whole lot, but always loading my brush, hopping back and forth. Here, picking up more white. If you're doing this and you see that you don't see that petal, pick up a little more white. See that? And I'm really controlling the pressure on my brush because you see I'm doing all this with one brush. And it's the pressure that will go from big petals to smaller petals without switching to a smaller brush. So here, as I'm getting more towards the center, I'm leaning my brush towards the yellow. So it's just that top of the brush that's lightly hopping. You see that? And I'm not laying the entire brush flat. Leaning just a few, keep rotating it. Okay, you see that? And then as you get right near the center, you can just add a few little dabs with just that corner of your brush. And there you go. Let me add a few here. Okay, so there's your marigold. See how simple that was? Now I'm just going to add and fill it up with a little more of the solid leaves. Remember, you always go back and fill up with more leaves at the end. So here, touch. Remember the filbert brush. Oops. And you can always go over a stroke if you're not happy with it. Touch, pull. And I'm going to switch to my liner brush. And whenever you use the liner brush, you want to make sure you do mix it with water. And I'm just picking up a little bit of my dark green, or right here, my blending area. Going back and just adding my stems. Just pull. Just so they don't look like they're floating. And then I'll just end it with a few little curly cues. Okay. There you go. I hope you find that helpful, and I hope you give it a try.